We're joined on the phone today by author Dave Singleton, talking about his new book, Crush. Writers reflect on love, longing, and the lasting power of their first celebrity crush. How you doing today, Dave?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm excellent. It's great to be speaking with you.
Yeah, you as well.
Well, first we'll start off, and I'll ask you a bit about the new book, Crush. Writers reflect on love, longing, and the lasting power of their first celebrity crush. What can the listeners expect from this one?
Well, this is 38 new essays, literary essays, on first celebrity crushes, and there are a variety of them. Some of them are like Jodi Picoult on Donny Osmond, which is kind of what you'd think of as like a standard celebrity crush. She was 6, and she had a serious case of puppy love. And then we have other types of crushes, like a bromance crush, James Franco on River Phoenix, who was both the boy and the actor that he wanted to be. So we have a variety of different crushes. It's not just romantic. It could be the person that you wanted to be. It could be a variety of things.
Yeah, you sound like you got a lot of real big names for this book. I guess, how did that process come about? Did they come to you, or you just have a lot of celebrity friends?
Gosh, I wish they had come to me. No, I think I can answer that in one word: perseverance. My co-author and I started with a list of writers that we loved, and some of them are really well known, and some of them are lesser known but should be known, memoirists. But we just started with the list of people that we loved, and we went down that list. And some of the really well-known people like Stephen King and James Franco and Jodi Picoult, Andrew McCarthy, they're all wonderful writers in their own right. And so we wanted to take this high concept of celebrity crush, which, it gets talked about and people will chat about it for a minute or two. What we wanted to do is take it to a deeper level and have real literary essays that explored it. And they went in some really interesting directions. I mean, it ostensibly is about the crush, but really, it's about family. It's about coming of age. It's about the kind of people you ended up dating. It's the kind of person you ended up becoming. These crushes had a lot of long-term impact on people.
Yeah, I know you mentioned the phrase puppy love, and I'm sure a lot of parents or adults probably think that's what it is when you're kids, but it seems like these probably would kind of go on to shape our views maybe as we grow up.
I think so. I think that they shape your view of who you are and who you want to be. I think of Kimberly Dawn Newman, who I worked with at Match for years. She wrote about seeing Baryshnikov when she was really little, and she had this big crush on Baryshnikov, the dancer, and it made her want to become a dancer, which, in fact, she did. She left Colorado. She went to New York. She actually ended up in a dance class with her crush, Baryshnikov, and she went on to star as Kathy in a chorus line. And I think that this theme is there throughout, that they impacted the people that the people would become. I think James Franco wrote about River Phoenix as the boy and the actor he wanted to be. And in fact, James Franco really kind of is that guy. He's both commercial and avant-garde artist. And I think he did morph into that person.
Well, Dave, who are some of the more, surprising crushes you found? I know Mick Jagger is on the cover, and that's kind of an obvious one, but some of them in there seemed kind of surprising, I thought.
Well, I thought one of the most surprising ones to me was Andrew McCarthy, who you remember, Brat Packer, that term. He was in Pretty in Pink and a number of movies. He was the object of many, many crushes himself. So it's interesting to have people like James Franco and Andrew McCarthy, objects of many crushes themselves, write about their own crushes. Andrew McCarthy's crush was Adrienne Barbeau on an episode of Love Boat. When he was a teenager in New Jersey, he saw her on an episode of Love Boat, and he, was a young man and very impressionable, and boy, she made a big impression on him. So that one really surprised me because, even now when I say the two names together, it's kind of funny to me, like Andrew McCarthy and Adrienne Barbeau. It's just they don't seem to really go together, but they do in his story. And so I think that was one example. I think some of the other examples are writer named Jason Diamond wrote about Annie Potts. Not what you would expect, but he just loved Annie Potts. Roxane Gay, who wrote Bad Feminists, writes very strong pieces about politics and all sorts of aspects of life and culture. She wrote about Almanzo Wilder from Little House on the Prairie, and that really surprised me. So we definitely had some surprises. I was thinking that we would have, a lot more of the kind of generational icons like Justin Timberlake and Farrah Fawcett, people like that. We had some, but we definitely had some that were surprising, unique.
Excellent. Again, Dave Singleton with us, author of the book Crush. And I wanted to ask you, I guess, if a person was able to meet their crush, do you think that's a good idea, or would it kind of... You mentioned Adrienne Barbeau. I once had an interview set up with her, and she stood me up, so I don't have the best image of her, I guess. But would this maybe cause trouble for people if they were able to meet them?
Well, I think the experience that happened to you is actually quite typical. I've worked in publishing and media for a really long time, and I worked with a lot of celebrities. And my motto, my friends laugh, but my motto is, if you really love someone's work, don't meet them, because it can go very wrong. And I did have some trepidation because I'm a big fan of everyone in this book. And I have to say that the big names we worked with, like Stephen King and James Franco and Jodi Picoult, Andrew McCarthy, they were all great. So I was really pleased about that. I have to say, I love Carrie Fisher. I'm a huge Carrie Fisher fan. And she was on board for this book very early on, and she was the one who kind of broke my heart a little bit. She pulled out at the last minute for some movie called Star Wars. Go figure, I don't know what this movie. But anyway, Carrie Fisher did that, and I still love Carrie Fisher, but it does sort of give you pause a little bit. I have to say that it is something to be careful about in meeting your crush, because you've invested so much in them that you don't want those memories to be toyed with. So I would say tread carefully if you're going to actually meet your crush, and be careful about meeting other people whose work you like, because, you can catch them on a bad day, you can, whatever it is, but that impression will matter, like it did for you.
Well, and I have no ill will towards her. I just, I thought it was odd that you brought her up.
Of all the people, right? That's for unusual ones, so that she was one of them.
Along kind of those same lines, I guess, when we were younger, growing up, you had a crush on somebody you'd see on TV or maybe in the magazines. Nowadays, though, with social media and everything, it seems like everyone can kind of find out everything they'd want to know about their crush. Do you think that's maybe not the best idea?
Well, I think it's something to think about. In our title, Crush, writers reflect on love, longing, and the lasting power of their first celebrity crush. I think about words like longing and lasting, and I think that kind of longing that we had, I'm not sure what kind of longing you have if you're 10 years old and you are watching a TV show with Taylor Swift, and during it you're Instagramming and tweeting at Taylor Swift. That feeling that you can connect with them immediately. I mean, in the old days, you had to, write a letter and find out where they were, and you didn't feel that immediacy with them because there wasn't social media and they weren't, on it. I mean, if I had a crush now at that young age, my gosh, I mean, would I be on Taylor Swift's Twitter feed all day, just sort of watching what she does? And that would be so different than what you and I experience, which is, you get occasional glimpses of them that are very curated, and you don't have that kind of access to them. So I think it's a really good question. One I'm curious about. We've had several people in their teens and their early 20s come to our appearances, and they ask questions like that because they're curious too about, well, how would this apply to, today? And I think it is really interesting. And in terms of lasting power, things with social media seem to turn over so quickly. Do you have a crush on somebody and then, you can't long for them very long because they're right there? Does your crush wear off? I'm not sure. It's a really interesting question to explore sometime.
Well, again, the book Crush is available now, and Dave Singleton with us. Is there something else coming up, or maybe you want to let the listeners know about before we let you go?
Oh, well, yeah, I'd love for them to follow me on Twitter at DC Dave Singleton or Instagram at DC Dave Singleton, and my website is davesingleton.com. So all my articles and new works will be there and announced there.
Excellent. Again, Dave, thanks a lot for being on with us today.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it.
And again, that was author Dave Singleton, and the book Crush, Writers Reflect on Love, Longing, and the Lasting Power of Their First Celebrity Crush is available now.